Classic trilogy, sequel, prequel. Hey, if you think that episode 1 has any redeeming qualities, then I've got an objective for you. So the Hyperdrive generator is gone, and we'll need a new one virtual, or Hyperdrive V for short. It's a niche objective that plays mainly with characters from the prequel saga. As the most restrictive character base of all light-side objectives, limiting to Episode 1 Jedi, Republic characters, unique aliens, and Republic starships. Despite its drawbacks, it can be quite interactive and formidable in both battle, on space, and in ground, and can get locations out for Turn 1 activation, which means, yes, no Destiny 0 is drawn for Destiny. Furthermore, the objective is a simple one. All you gotta do is battle, overtake, and hold Tatooine Watto's junkyard. Hyperdrive V starts with the objective on table. Credits will do fine. Tatooine Watto's junkyard and Tatooine City outskirts. You'll then play heading the medical frigate to deploy Jedi Business, We're Leaving, and Walkling V. The objective is simple. You need to stack 4 cars and credits will do fine by winning battles and force draining at the junkyard. Your first turn, you will use your objectives text before activating any cards taken to hand in Episode 1 system. You're looking for Camino. Later on, in turn 1, deploy it and use 1 force to deploy the related Camino site. You can then use Jedi Business to pull Tatooine Mos Espa. But if you have the right cards in hand and your opponent is giving you a few force, you can alternatively, instead of Mos Espa, apply early pressure by deploying a Jedi or Obi-Wan from hand to the junkyard, or using Tatooine City outskirts text to deploy a Jedi and then move the Jedi over to the junkyard, in which case you would then use Jedi Business to arm your character with the lightsaber instead of deploying the Mos Espa site. It will likely be that your opponent wants to contest the junkyard. While you occupy your force generation as +2, and your force drains will often hurt as your characters are usually armed with lightsabers. Credits will do fine, also essentially increases your force drains by 1, as your opponent needs to stack a card there each time you initiate the drain. This force loss cannot be reduced or cancelled. The need for your opponent to contest the junkyard is even greater when you find one of your multiple copies of Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan Learner V, the deck engine. Each time a card is stacked and credits will do fine, he allows you to search your reserve deck and take any one non-character card. Locations, weapons, devices, interrupts, effects, and starships are all potential cards you can grab. This even works when you're using We're Leaving V or Master Qui-Gon to stack a card from your own lost pile or hand respectively. If you're battling, or likely to battle, typically your trick cards are useful to grab with Obi-Wan, otherwise you can start piecing together your fleet to play in space. Once you flip, you should have the junkyard well established with multiple characters there, in either another site or system that you also control. And then you can afford to spread to a third battleground or contest your opponent at their battlegrounds. You'll find that you can often win drain wars as your lightsabers are adding the drains, Padme Nabari is adding an additional damage, and you can retrieve cards into your used pile or hand whenever you battle after you draw a battle destiny. In building the deck, you're looking to include multiple copies of Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan Learner V. I also like to include 2 Qui-Gons, both Master Qui-Gon, who is helpful to flip your objective against a variety of dark decks, especially Hunt Down, and Master Qui-Gon can also combo with Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan Learner V to search your deck even more and get the key cards you need. I also like to play 1 copy of Qui-Gon Jinn Serene Jedi, who's a great battler, especially alone. I play Padme Nabari, non-V from Tatooine, which allows me to get Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan out earlier, and often allowing me to choose the Qui-Gon that fits best for that situation. Other characters, other beefy Republic and Jedi characters, we're talking about Mace Windu V, your choice of Yoda, Lando with Axe, Captain Rex, 501st Legion. All great cards to include in this deck. In space, you're looking to add in Rick and Queen's Royal Starship, an Acclimator class assault ship, and the Azure Angel. Your pilots are a bit of a premium in this deck, so keep a lookout for them and ensure you have at least one you can commit in space to your hand. Definitely include Solo, as he's a potential resistance agent versus map. Anakin Skywalker Padawan Learner, Luke Loon V, Dash Rendar V, and Din Djarin are good pilots that often also can go to ground and be equally good there. Once you're flipped, you will find that We're Leaving can find you Rick and Queen's Royal Starship, if Obi-Wan hasn't already found it, or retrieve it into hand each turn. Simply give it your choice of pilot, will turn it into a high-power multiple Destiny ship pretty quick, and adds to your activation during your opponent's turn. It is truly a beast. If you're expecting pesky space interrupts, the Azure Angel can help out. You can get around anything that limits your total battle destiny to 1 draw, with the Acclimator class assault ship adding to attrition or often using Dash Rend RV. Even if your opponent isn't contesting space, you can take advantage of losing a ship from hand to retrieve it back into hand to lose again using We're Leaving B, especially using the activation during your opponent's turn that I mentioned from Queen's Royal Starship. The deck should run plenty of trick cards, including your usual Clash of Sabers, Blaster Deflection, Rebel Barrier, Alter, Jedi Levitation, and so forth. Don't be afraid to include 1 copy of that interrupt or device that you love, like Obi-Wan's Journal, as Obi-Wan can find it with his text. One of the cool cards that you get access to in this deck is Are You Brain Dead? The card is basically a Destiny 5 Haujiks for you. It must be played in a battle that you lose, but you can lose 1 Jedi Council member to satisfy all battle damage and attrition. It can also be played in space, and can even be played on a hit Jedi Council member. With your lightsabers and weapons in this deck, and the additional battle destiny draws you get, being able to keep some of your other characters on table for a counter beat by using this card is amazing. Be wary though, it's not immune to sense, so watch out particularly for Kir Kanos who can cancel it. One thing you need to be especially wary of is undercover spies. They can stop your progress to the Junkyard cold. Free Ride V, Quite a Mercenary V, which also can cancel a Smuggler's game text, and Sorry About the Mess combo are cards you will need to find if your opponent is running undercover spies. For this reason, I often deploy Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan Learner V to the Junkyard, and I'll wait to stack a card with We're Leaving until my opponent has deployed to the site. Then during their deploy phase, when I know what cards my opponent is using and committing, I'll use We're Leaving and Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan Learner V to grab the card that I need to use, be it a battle card or something to deal with the undercover spots. Many players like to alternatively play Wisagata Grand Army to deploy Boss Nass's Chambers, and you can also use that interrupt with Jar Jar for undercover spies, so consider running this with potentially Episode 1 Tatooine instead as an alternative activation package, although you will need to cut a lot of cards to accomplish it. The deck can struggle against weapons in space, and also against combat vehicles. It does give up more dark side icons than light side decks should, but otherwise the deck should provide plenty of battles for each player. With your high immunity, high defense value characters, lightsabers, and battle tricks, along with a competent but compact space package and late game retrieval, it should provide for plenty of fun. Enjoy!